This is Hidden Killers with Tony Brueski. Here now, Tony Brueski.
Sean Diddy Combs wants the world to believe he's found peace, that his so-called spiritual reset in prison has changed him, humbled him, made him a new man. But if you read between the lines of his latest move, asking the federal appeals court to fast-track his case, you see the same old Diddy, the same inflated sense of self-importance, the same belief that the rules bend for him because, in his mind, they always have. The request itself isn't illegal. Defendants can absolutely ask for an expedited hearing, but the psychology behind it, that's what tells the story. This isn't about due process. It's about ego maintenance. It's about the man who spent decades living in a world that existed solely to serve him, and now facing the same system that every other convicted felon faces, he can't stand the idea of waiting his turn. That's why he thinks by asking for the expedited appeal, of course they'll bow to him because he's Diddy. Combs has served just over a year of his 4-year sentence for flying women and male sex workers or driving them across state lines to engage in drug-fueled sexual encounters. He wants oral arguments heard by April, months earlier than normal, so that if his conviction gets overturned, he can benefit from the reductions offered under rehabilitation programs. You can practically hear the subtext. I am Sean Combs. I'm not built to sit in a cell while the wheels of justice grind slowly. I don't know how to do a Sean Diddy Combs impersonation, but there you go. Here's the part that makes it so hard to stomach, though. His lawyers told the court that the fallout from his conviction has devastated his business. Oh, you think? Oh, it devastated his business. So those hundreds of people, I know you weren't convicted on all of them. I know there's still like hundreds of pending civil suits against you. But the allegations from the hundreds of people, in my opinion, allegedly, all that bullshit, what about them? What about them? Oh, it's hurt your business. Oh, excuse me. Well, I don't give a rat's ass. Because when I saw you stomping on Cassie's head in that video, all give a shits kind of went out the window for me. How about you? Over 100 people lost their jobs because of the empire that collapsed around him. Well, consider themselves freaking lucky that you're not employed by the monster anymore. People who depended on him for their livelihoods are now out of work. Not about people losing their jobs by any means, but when you're working for the devil, basically, maybe there's other opportunities out there. Just saying. It's not like he's the only one hiring. He's asking the courts to hurry up so he can get back to making money again. He'll find a way. He always does. There's no acknowledgement that the reason these people are jobless is because of his actions. There's no humility in the face of wreckage he caused. It's just the same refrain of poor me wrapped in legal language and narcissistic spin. It's the only modality this man has. Let's remember who we're talking about here. The man who for decades sold himself as the embodiment of success, power, and excess. The man whose name was synonymous with luxury and domination. And according to his former employees, that image was built on fear. In the documentary, The Making of a Bad Boy, staffers and insiders described a culture of intimidation where saying no was not an option, where boundaries blurred, where parties weren't just parties but exercises in control. One former employee said, "There ain't a Diddy party that didn't turn into a freak-off." Another recalled him telling people that this is what you had to do to make it in the industry. Allegedly. All of it allegedly. That's not mentorship. That's coercion dressed in the language of ambition. That's not leadership. It's domination. And now, when he's finally facing real-world consequences, he wants to speed the whole damn thing up because waiting, apparently, is for everyone else, the little people. His lawyers point out that he's participating in substance abuse treatment programs and other rehabilitative efforts, as if checking those boxes should move him to the front of the line. Here's the thing, though. Accountability doesn't have a fast lane. Transformation doesn't come with a court-approved timetable. The irony is staggering. The same man who allegedly made people wait on him hand and foot for decades, who made employees live on his schedule, his whims, his moods, now can't stomach waiting on the justice system. He's not used to being told no. He's used to snapping his fingers and having doors open. But the federal courts don't care about celebrity branding, dear Diddy. They don't care about your Instagram following or your Grammy count. They care about the record. They care about the law. And when you strip away the luxury veneer, this appeal is just another extension of the same behavior that got him here in the first place: control. It's about regaining the narrative, reasserting power, making sure he's not the one waiting for anyone else to decide his fate. Narcissists don't do well with submission. They don't tolerate losing control. They rewrite the script so that even when they're the villain, they're still getting top billing. At sentencing, he told the judge he was disgusted by his behavior, that he was ashamed and remorseful. But words are cheap. Apologies don't erase patterns. A true reckoning doesn't look like, let's get this appeal over with quickly so I can start rebuilding my empire. It looks like sitting with the consequences for as long as it takes. It looks like prioritizing the people you harmed, not the clock running out on your incarceration. And let's talk about those people. The women who testified, the employees who described living in fear, the individuals who are still suing him for what they say they endured under his watch. They've been waiting years for justice, some for decades. For them, nothing has been fast. Reporting abuse wasn't fast. Healing wasn't fast. Watching the system move wasn't fast. But now, the man at the center of all of it wants his redemption delivered overnight. That's the entitlement of power. That is the hallmark of grandiosity. The mindset that says, I've suffered long enough, as if doing 14 months of a 50-month sentence somehow levels the playing field. When you've lived your entire adult life surrounded by yes men, private jets, and camera flashes, humility is an alien language. And what this motion to expedite tells us is that despite the carefully worded letters about peace and spirituality, the man inside that cell still believes his own exceptionality. He still believes he's owed special consideration because of who he is. Let's also be clear, this is not a witch hunt. The man was acquitted of sex trafficking and racketeering charges that could have put him away for life. The system already spared him the harshest penalties. He got 4 years. 4. This is 4, not this. 4. And he still can't sit with that. He still can't let time do its job. This is the part where the narcissism is most transparent. Narcissists often confuse consequences with persecution. They don't view punishment as justice. They view it as unfairness. To them, every repercussion is a personal attack. Every boundary is an insult. Every delay is disrespect. So instead of reflecting on why the world no longer bends to him, Diddy is doubling down on the belief that he deserves to be fast-tracked back to freedom. He's already framed his time in prison as rebirth, a spiritual reset. But a spiritual reset isn't a branding opportunity. It's not a new slogan for the next chapter of your career. It's supposed to be a reckoning. And real transformation doesn't involve lawyers asking for special treatment while the people you hurt are still processing the damage. And let's not forget, he's still facing multiple civil lawsuits. Former staff, former partners, former associates, all claiming years of abuse, manipulation, and coercion. They're all making it up, right? It's all a big cash grab. All of these people, every single one of them, all lies, right? Everybody just there to take it. So when his defense argues that his arrest destroyed his business, what they're really saying is the truth finally caught up, and now we want the courts to hurry up so he can start over. That is not accountability. That is called PR. There's a reason the public reaction to his speedy appeal request has been a mix of outrage and disbelief. Because it's not just about the law, it's about the optics of entitlement. When powerful men fall, their first instinct is not reflection, it's control. How fast can I rebuild the narrative? How soon can I get back to the image that made me untouchable? If the justice system moves faster for him than anyone else, it sends a devastating message. Fame buys time and justice sells priority passes. That's not equality under the law. That's privilege rebranded as efficacy. Meanwhile, the real victims, the ones who spoke up in those docuseries and courtrooms, are still left to pick up their pieces at normal speed. They don't get expedited healing. They don't get a fast forward on their trauma. So no, Sean Combs doesn't deserve a speedy appeal. He deserves a fair one, just like every other inmate sitting in a cell tonight without the luxury of a PR team to repackage their crimes into a redemption arc. If this really is the new Diddy, the one who's learned and grown, then he should understand that growth isn't measured by how fast you get out. It's measured by what you do with the time you've got. And if he can't stand still long enough to face that, then maybe the rest or the reset that he keeps preaching about never happened at all. Because of course it didn't. Because at the end of the day, a man who spent decades building an empire on control will always reveal himself the moment he loses it. And right now, his demand for a speedy appeal isn't the voice of a changed man. It's the same old Diddy, still trying to run the show. Give me your thoughts in the comment section on YouTube. If you're not there already, if you're listening to us on a podcast platform, thank you. Please do hit subscribe where you're at. Also, check out YouTube so you can comment and give your voice on this. And do hit subscribe while you're there. Until next time, I'm Tony Brueski. We will talk again real.
Want more on this case and others? Then press subscribe now and don't miss a moment of true crime coverage from Tony Brueski and the Hidden Killers podcast.